There's a cemetery in New Orleans that most people have never heard of, mainly because it doesn't have the fame of places tied to voodoo legends or ghost tours, and it doesn't show up on postcards or travel guides. But according to some locals, it might be one of the most unsettling places in the entire city. It's called Oddfellows Rest, and even the name itself feels slightly out of place, like it belongs to something older or more deliberate than a typical burial ground. The cemetery was established in the mid-1800s by a group known as the Independent Order of Oddfellows, which was a fraternal organization that focused heavily on charity, burial rites, and the belief that no one should be forgotten after death, especially those who might not otherwise have anyone to remember them. On the surface, that mission sounds noble, and at the time it was seen that way. But the way they designed their cemetery suggests there may have been more intention behind it than simple remembrance. Unlike many cemeteries in New Orleans that developed over time and feel somewhat organic in their layout, Oddfellows Rest was carefully planned with a level of symmetry and structure that feels unusually precise, almost as if every path, every tomb, and every open space was placed with a specific purpose in mind. The rows are aligned in a way that draws your attention forward, and the central areas seem to anchor the entire space, giving it a sense of order that feels less accidental and more controlled. The Oddfellows themselves were known for their use of symbolism, especially imagery connected to death and what comes after it, including skulls, chains, and their signature 3 interlocking rings, which were meant to represent friendship, love, and truth, but also carry deeper associations with life, death, and continuity. Those symbols appear throughout the cemetery, carved into tombs and embedded in the design, reinforcing the idea that this place was built with meaning layered into every detail. People who visit the cemetery often describe a feeling that's difficult to explain, because it's not the kind of fear you might expect from a haunted location, but something quieter and more persistent, like a sense that the space itself is holding something in place. Visitors have said that the air feels heavier than it should, and that sound doesn't travel normally, as if the space absorbs it, creating an unnatural stillness that doesn't quite feel peaceful. Some locals believe that this was intentional, based on lesser-known ideas about the Oddfellows and their views on death, which suggests they weren't only concerned with honoring the dead, but also with maintaining order over what happens after death. There are stories passed down over time that certain graves and structures were designed in ways meant to keep something contained, not in a dramatic or obvious sense, but through subtle design choices that would prevent anything from leaving once it had been placed there. People who spend enough time in the cemetery sometimes report similar experiences, including the feeling of being watched from somewhere within the row of tombs, or hearing movement behind them that disappear the moment they turn around, or catching brief glimpses of something shifting in their peripheral vision that they can never fully confirm. These accounts aren't dramatic or consistent enough to prove anything, but they tend to follow the same pattern, which is what makes them difficult to dismiss entirely. What stands out the most is the way people describe the layout itself, because over time, the symmetry and organization stop feeling like aesthetic choices and start feeling purposeful, as if the design isn't just guiding the living through the space, but also organizing something else beneath the surface. There's no confirmed evidence that anything supernatural has ever occurred at Oddfellows Rest, and no official record suggests that it was built for anything other than burial and remembrance. But in a city like New Orleans, where history and belief often overlap in ways that are hard to separate, places like this tend to carry meanings that go beyond what's written down. And when you look at a cemetery that was built with that level of precision, filled with symbols tied to death and continuity, and consistently described as feeling heavier and quieter than it should, it leads to a question that doesn't have a clear answer. Was this place designed simply to honor the dead, or was it built to make sure they stay exactly where they are?